President Calvin Coolidge, the 30th President of the USA, invited some friends from his hometown to dinner at the White House. Since they did not know how to behave at such an occasion, they thought the best policy was just to do what the president did. The time came for serving coffee. The president poured his coffee into a saucer. As soon as his friends saw it, they did the same. The next step for the president was to pour some milk and add a little sugar to the coffee in the saucer. The folk from home did the same. They thought for sure that the next step would be for the president to take the saucer with the coffee and begin sipping it. But the president didn't do this. He leaned over, placed the saucer on the floor, and called the cat. As we grow up as children, it is through imitation that we learn to walk and talk, to eat and engage. And as adults, even the most assertive, strong-willed and non-conformist amongst us are influenced by and imitate others. This is human nature. It is how society is formed. There is much value in it when we have the wisdom to know who we should imitate. In Romans 12 verse 1 we read, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." If we are not to imitate the world, then what or who should we allow to influence us? Come follow me. These were the words of invitation given by a Jewish rabbi to Simon and Andrew, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, James and Thaddeus, Simon and Judas. The invitation to come follow me was a commonplace invite from rabbis to young Jewish men. By age 15, religious schools had decided if you were likely to make a success of your life. At that age, it was time to consider applying to sit under a rabbi, a teacher. Applying to a rabbi was not about just wanting to learn from him, but also wanting to be like him. And so a hopeful apprentice would be grilled. The rabbi would consider, can this kid sitting in front of me do what I do? Does this kid have what it takes? If the answer was yes, the rabbi would say to the kid, "Come, follow me." As the apprentice follows the rabbi, they're doing everything they can to keep up with him. They don't want to miss a word. The invitation to come follow me to the 12 men mentioned earlier was, of course, the invitation of Jesus. To men who hadn't made the cut with any other rabbi. That's why they were fishing or collecting taxes. But the invitation was the same, to come and be like me. Come and be my apprentice, my disciple. And today, that Jewish rabbi says the same to us. Come, follow me. But, and this is the crucial thing, it is not a one-off invitation. It is an invitation which is not static, but constantly moving. To follow Christ means to go wherever he would go, and to become ever more like him. As humans, we continuously grow and develop. If we decided that once a toddler had taken one step, their task was complete, then where would they be? And so for us, our calling as apprentices of Christ should be forever moving, developing and evolving. If we are wholeheartedly following Christ, we should look more like him than we did at the start of our faith journey. We should increasingly look like our Master. Author Stormy O'Martian writes this: "You are either becoming more like Christ every day, or you are becoming less like him. There is no neutral position in the Lord. Just as an apprentice increasingly gains the skills, ideas, and characteristics of their master, so we too, as apprentices and disciples of Christ, should increasingly bear his image in our attitudes, words, and actions. The film The Parent Trap tells the story of identical twins Annie and Hallie, who were separated at birth and each raised by one of their biological parents. They later discover each other for the first time at summer camp and make a plan to bring their divorced parents back together. This plan involves haircuts, ear piercing, and elocution lessons, so that these sisters so closely resemble each other that even their parents can't tell them apart. The purpose of our lives as disciples of Jesus is to so closely live like Jesus that when people see us, they see him. Jesus lived with, worshipped with, and taught his disciples so that their lives would be transformed and their priorities changed. We may not have the physical person of Christ to walk with each day, but we can experience his presence in our daily walk. We have to choose to invest ourselves in that calling to follow him. An hour at church on a Sunday does not make us disciples of Jesus. He invites us to come follow me. If we respond with a yes to that invite, it consumes our whole life, but enriches our whole life more than we could ever imagine. Francis Chan writes, "Following Jesus is not about diligently keeping a set of rules or conjuring up the moral fortitude to lead good lives. It is about loving God and enjoying him." Being an apprentice of Jesus isn't intended to be burdensome and joy-stealing. It is meant to be freeing, restoring, and uplifting. It is what we were created for. Jesus says, "Come to me, get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly." It is as we intentionally seek to experience more of Jesus that we increasingly are released into the life we were created for. Our church exists to nurture disciples of Jesus. To nurture is to take care of, feed and protect someone or something, to help them or it to develop. We are here to help each other walk more closely with Jesus and become more like him. Am I helping you to become more like Jesus? Are you helping me to become more like Jesus? Are we helping each other to become more like Jesus? Jesus' first disciples weren't called to follow him alone. He gathered a group together so that they could all learn together and journey together. And today, as we respond to the call to follow Jesus, we do not do so in isolation, but as a family of God. As we take responsibility for investing in our own walk with Christ, we also help others in their journey of discipleship. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. The Great Commission given by Jesus in Matthew chapter 28 doesn't call upon his followers to go and make converts or church attendees. He commissions them to make disciples. That is, apprentices, people who are constantly seeking to be more and more like their master. The Dutch Christian missionary Brother Andrew said this: "The work of the church is not survival. She exists to fulfill the Great Commission." Think about that for a moment. We can become so concerned and consumed with running exciting programs, attracting new people, and simply keeping our church doors open that we get distracted from our primary calling to be like Jesus. This leads me on to the words from Christian scholar Dallas Willard. There's a lot of criticism of the church. I'm not part of that because I don't think there's any hope outside of the church. But the church needs help. And there's not a single thing wrong with the church today that discipleship to Jesus Christ would not cure. These are really challenging words as we reflect on our own life as apprentices of Christ, and as we reflect on the life of our church and how we interact with one another. Jesus offers us a free and fulfilled, but not easy life. And this comes to us as we more closely walk with him and imitate him. Every one of us is made in the image of God. And every one of us can bear that image more clearly every day. The question today is, do we think it is worth it? Are we willing to invest our everything in the journey to become more like Jesus? And are we willing to give of ourselves to help each other do the same? For that is how God will change the world, through you and I. God bless you.